Hey everybody, it's May here. I just wanted to say thank you for 1,000 followers on Twitch. This is an experience I don't even know how to thank you guys for, really, but I made a video that I've always wanted to make. It's a draw my life video. Ever since I saw 7 years ago about when they were popular on YouTube, I've always wanted to make one, and I'm so happy to be able to do this for you guys. And hope you guys learn a little bit about me during this and enjoy the video. I'm not the best artist or storyteller, so if things get a little rough, I'm sorry, but I did my best. And just thank you guys so much for bringing all this happiness to my life. And let's just go ahead and get started. My story starts before I was born. Two people, being my mom and my dad, decided it was time to invite a baby, me, into the world. Unfortunately, my dad said it wasn't for him, so he got pretty angry with my mom, so my mom left. A few months later, I was born. She named me Nicholas Van Vessem. Yep, that's my name. Because of my dad leaving prior to being born, I lived with my mom and my grandparents for several years. The first story I'll go over is when I was 2, and just learning how to run. My mom was trying to change my diaper, and being the prankster that I am, I got up and ran away. Eventually, my mom cornered me, and I fell backwards, hitting my head against the corner of a wall, and cracked my head open. A few years later, my mom started to date. One night, she was giving me a bath, and I heard a knock at the door. So I jumped out of the tub and ran to the door. This marks the first time I met my dad, naked. We used to travel to LA a lot to visit my aunt who lived out there. I don't remember much other than eating at Denny's on the way back from LA and playing lots of Crash Bandicoot while I was staying there. The obsession of Crash Bandicoot was actually how I was introduced into video games. My aunt loved that we had that in common and eventually ended up buying me a PS2 with Crash Bandicoot for my birthday. Shortly after, my mom and my dad, the guy who I met when I was naked, got married. I don't remember the wedding, but there are plenty of pictures of me crying my eyes out because I knew they were going to Hawaii after, and I wouldn't get to see my mom for a while. Eventually, we moved to my dad's house, and soon after, my sister was born. My mom always tells me that before my sister was born, I wanted 1,000 babies, because I love them. But after she was born, I tell them I didn't want to have kids when I grew up. My sister and I were pretty much polar opposites until I moved out later in life. I liked spicy foods, she didn't. I liked video games, she didn't. And I liked rap music, and she liked theater and reading and, everything that I didn't like. But nonetheless, though, she's still a pretty good person. I think she's pretty cool. After she was born, my parents took me to the place where you can sign to adopt someone. And there, my dad adopted me. From that point on, I became Nick May. Eventually, I started playing soccer. I fell in love with it. For almost 10 years, I played. And in my last few seasons, I broke my wrists and my collarbones. I determined I didn't want to play anymore after those injuries. When I broke my wrist a week later, unfortunately, my grandma had passed away from pancreatic cancer. She raised me, and she made my life 100 times better. So, thank you, Grandma, for everything you did for me. And during my teenage years, I traveled a lot with my family. We went to places like Utah, Colorado, New York, Washington, D.C., and a few others. My favorite story to tell, though, is the one where we went to the Empire State Building, and I somehow lost my family. I was searching for about 10 minutes until security found me and made me sit in a tiny little security room at the very, very top floor until my parents came to get me. It didn't go very well. At 15, I started streaming on Twitch and making YouTube videos. If you look hard enough, you could probably still find that stuff, but eventually I lost confidence and gave it up. Then comes the high school days. I basically became a fuckboy. According to my calculations, I dated about 5 girls between freshman and sophomore year, and talked to many others in between. But then I met the girl of my dreams. Well, technically we already met, but I actually started talking to her. Daisy. I started talking to her around Christmas time over Snapchat. We had a long conversation over FaceTime with a lot of our friends too. That night, we became cuddle buddies. That's what we called ourselves. Around a month later, after being cuddle buddies, which we never actually saw each other during that time, I asked her out to be my girlfriend at a friend's birthday party, and she said yes. Since then, we had our good and bads, like going to Bears and Cardinals games and momentarily breaking up because I'm dumb and stupid. After all that stupid stuff, we decided that we should get married and have a baby. During this time, I was working at Domino's. I was really doing well, and I was making enough money to be happy. I was next in line to become the youngest general manager for Domino's in Arizona. I was 18 at the time. But one night, a guy hopped the counter and put a gun to my head. The only thing that he said to me that night was, "It's your lucky day, Nicholas." And I don't think I was very lucky that night. I quit Domino's that night. I got OSHA to make our franchise manager pay $20,000 in fines and an additional $10,000 per store to upgrade security, like better locks on the doors and cameras, which we didn't have before. Back to baby making. We tried for a while and really wanted to have a kid, but no luck. So I went to the doctor, and after some testing, he said, "You have little to no chance of having a baby." So we tried for about 2 years, and finally Daisy woke me up at 3 a.m. throwing up 3 nights in a row and said, "Babe, I feel like I'm gonna die." So we went to an urgent care, and they kept asking us, "Are you sure there isn't any chance you could be pregnant?" And we kept saying no. But they came back with the results and told us Daisy was in fact pregnant. During the pregnancy, I decided I absolutely hated my life, and I needed to change it for Daisy, for Violet. So I quit my job at the call center I was currently working at. I started DoorDash. I moved out of my apartment with my roommates and took Daisy back to her parents' house. I then looked into some stuff I could do for my future. Eventually, I found respiratory therapy. I decided to take the risk not knowing anything about medical school or anything about hospitals. Violet was born right before my school had started. They say that having a baby changes you, and it really does. I've become a better person, happier, and definitely more introverted than ever. But the key word is happy. Watching Violet grow every day is the happiest thing I can ever imagine. After about 4 months into my dad life, I decided that I wanted to stream. I was bored of watching Netflix at night, and it gave me something to do, as my shift for watching baby was bedtime until 3 to 4 a.m. to let mom asleep. So I decided to start streaming Minecraft, but that only lasted one day, as Violet decided to wake up through the night. Months and months and months passed, and that gut feeling just happened again. I thought to myself, even if I'm streaming for one person, I'm gonna make a good show for them. So I streamed Fortnite, and I did pretty decent too. One night, I was watching Call Me Carson, my favorite YouTuber, and found this amazing game where they made robots rap and do stuff on screen, and I thought that was the coolest game I could ever think of. Coincidentally, the next day I was invited to my old roommate's house to play a game called Jackbox. I'd never actually played it, or even heard of it until that point. But a few days later, I bought the game and decided to stream it, and I never actually played it at her house. I just did my research and bought it. From that day on, I've streamed Pokemon and Jackbox exclusively, basically. We've made over 1,000 new friends playing it, and I love this experience and the happiness it brings to me. The new people I get to meet that if they approached me in real life, I would be way too nervous to talk to. Just the smiles that I get to put on everyone's face and the smile that they put on mine. So, thank you for making my 2020 better. Thank you for helping me achieve 1,000 followers, a number I never thought I'd ever be able to hit for someone like me. Thank you for being you, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.